Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long was 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long was 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975. It's Wednesday, which means I like to have a little bit of a chat with you guys. You know, well, you already know what I'm going to chat about. It's up there. You know, I take a break from the gameplays and just have a, you know, formal one-on-one, if you will. Yeah, you're probably thinking top 10 favourite Mega Drive games of all time. Where did that come from? That's a very good question. It actually came from going back a few Wednesday vlogs when I did my sorry, I just had a Marmite sandwich, my mouth's watering. Excuse me. Tooroo. What a bad start to a video. A couple of Wednesday vlogs ago, I did my 5 favourite crisps. And it's funny because the response to that was, I have an inbox here and an inbox on Facebook full of people ask me, what are my 5 favourites of? Don't like chocolate, can't do that. Beer seems sort of inappropriate for a YouTube channel, he says. The vast majority, which really blows my mind, because I'm really surprised that so many people are interested in my 5 favourites of stuff. But the vast majority, I have like 10 messages, and people asking me, you know, it kind of makes sense because obviously everyone knows that I love the Mega Drive. My 5 favourite Mega Drive games of all time. And I thought, I simply cannot pin that down to 5. Pinning it down to 10 would be difficult enough, but doing it to 5 would feel like I'm cheating upon a favourite title that I may have forgot or neglected to mention. So I'm going to do 10. Now, it's weird, but this list is constantly changing and evolving. This is the list of what it is as of right now, because, you know, for many of us with this love for retro games, when you play games, even for 30 odd years, you can still go back to it and find something you didn't notice the first time around. Appreciation for, you know, some music somewhere, some gameplay mechanic, you know, the graphics, the scrolling, the secrets, some little secret nuance tucked away that will forever change, either for the better or the worse, your experience of that game. So as I said, it's of right now. It's not going to be deep. It's not going to be a review of any of the games. I sat there when I had to try and piece this together and scratch my head for 2 hours with a blank piece of paper in front of me, which, when you have eczema as bad as me, is you don't want to scratch your head for 2 hours. And it was really, really, really difficult. I suggest try it, if only so you can have a massive brain fart, and then when you finally start getting around to committing pen to paper, you'll screw it up and throw it away because something else would pop in your head. So it simply comes down to basically the sheer hours I put into it, or, you know, the number of times I played it, or just the fact that I think to some degree, quite possibly, a lot of this will be excuse me, nostalgia. Also, stipulation is it's basically out of the childhood set of games I had, which is my collection right now, bar I've just contradicted myself, bar the new ones I got, because stuff that I've acquired along the way since, whether I think it's brilliant or not, I've just not put the man hours into it that I did my original games, so they don't count. Now, you might think this is a really odd list, but looking at it, I was really surprised and think this is a really, really odd list. I mean, it's in front of me right now, and I'm genuinely quite surprised, because some of the ones that are in there aren't even that deep or have that sort of level of man hour, you know, sort of hours of gameplay, I should say. So right, without further ado, let's crack into it. I'm just gonna have a Tooroo and stealth belch. I don't think I got away with that as a stealth belch. Number 10. This might quite surprise people because there are better Shinobi games, but again, it comes back to I didn't have other Shinobi games on the Mega Drive, but did love them on the Master System, and that's Super Shinobi, or the Revenge of Shinobi, but I always preferred the term Super Shinobi because it sounds like if you're going to be a ninja, then what's better than a ninja? Super Ninja. I just remember, because I can't remember if it was a launch title, but I know it was really, really early on. It was just one of those first games that I've completed this so many times. I love it. I love the fact that Godzilla's in it. Batman's in it, Spider-Man's in it, Terminator's in it, or in the Japanese version, I should say. But it was just an absolute eye-opener where your brain just went, pay attention, son, welcome to the 16-bit era. And it was just, you know, and I wasn't even, I am now, but even at the time I wasn't disappointed that we didn't get an arcade port, you know, because I had that on the Master System. So I was ready for something else, and this just blew my mind, and this is a big, by those days and that time of period on the Mega Drive standards, this is a big game. And yeah, I think it was the first slap in the face. It just said 16-bit, and for that reason, forever, I always found myself returning to it because I absolutely love and adore it. So, number 10, Super Shinobi. Number 9, Magical Flying Hat Turbo Adventure, which is basically the Cap Attack in the West, which is a redressed, reskinned version, but you obviously know that. But this didn't get this release in the West because it's an anime, I believe, and I guess for whatever reason they couldn't license it. Now this is the third platformer I have in here, but I scratched my head and there's a lot of really good platformers, which you could argue Shinobi's one on the Mega Drive. But this, I don't know, I remember seeing it in CVG and not having seen anything like it. Just a bright, colourful, just my brain just went, I had to have it. And I love the gameplay mechanics in this place. I remember thinking at the time, which I think is probably one of the reasons I love it so much, because of my affiliation I have towards another games, it reminds me so much of Psycho Fox. But this is such, and I would suggest you import it. I mean, I don't know how the Cap Attack compares. I should probably do a gameplay and find out. But I just love the way this looks. You know, it just the sprites, the music. It's just so much fun. It's just so chilled. And whenever I play this, it just makes me, you know, zoom back to being a 12-year-old again and playing it in my bedroom on my first SCART TV and just sinking hours and hours and hours of my life into this and never actually really getting frustrated. Few games can say that. Now this is the only shooter, I'm not going to say I said smart bollocks, that made it into my top 10. Might surprise you because obviously there's a shitload of really, really good quality shooters on the Mega Drive. If you see me doing this, by the way, it's me checking my battery life. You didn't need to know that. And yeah, even I was quite surprised, but when I sat down and thought of all the ones I've completed and played the most, it would be Zeroing. Ironically, the final game I bought to complete my Japanese childhood Mega Drive collection when I was having my midlife crisis and re-piecing it together, but I just thought it brought stuff to the... Alright, it got really bad Western translation of, you know, some of the screen words and stuff, which I think we all know the most famous one, so I'm not going to patronise you by saying it, but I just thought he brought the little suck, it's obviously an arcade port, suck the ship onto the front of you, you know, mechanic. Just, I hadn't seen anything else like that, and I think that, for one reason, because I enjoyed doing that so much, makes it stand above all the other shooters. And as I said, there's shitloads of good ones, you know, Hellfire, Atomic Robo Kid, the Thunder Force series, but for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe it was that mechanic, I think it was that mechanic, but it just stood out from the crowd, which is a very difficult thing to do when there's so many shooters on a system. So I think that's possibly why it's my favourite shooter and, you know, one of my favourite games. Excuse me. Well, I guess this technically counts as a shooter, but I don't count Organic Flesh. That sounds stupid. That sounds really stupid. People-based shooters as shooters for some reason. I don't know. Mercs or Commando 2. I just remember the Christmas I got this game, and I think it's possibly in there for that Christmas alone, playing it just continuously. 2 options, 2 game modes, amazing graphics, amazing sound, amazing playability. I'm scared to think of how much of my life I invested in this game, and it's possibly a very, very considerable amount. But it was just, I think of all these titles, this is possibly the most pick up and play title, which is probably why it's in there, because it just, you know, it was just, I can't put my finger, you know, when you can't quite sum up why something is just so enjoyable, so addictive, and this video's already getting away from me, and that is Mercs. I do know why this is in here. What are we on? 6, had to count, really. I know that's embarrassing. Castle Illusion, Mickey Mouse. I know exactly why this is in here, not just because it's a superb game. It was basically Disney saying, hey, look at us, what we can do with 16-bit graphics, see what we can do with your Mega Drive. It's because, and this is the nostalgia reason, but this reason, sorry, other than that, as a kid, I think this is the first proper platformer on the system. And when you're in new territory, at least my memory as a kid was when something's new, it never quite gets it bang on. This just absolutely fantastic, brilliant story, brilliant graphics, brilliant music, absolutely addictive, fun, charming. It's one of those games that even now when I play it and complete it, I never ever feel frustrated. It just makes me smile, and yeah, so that's why this is in here, because this still to the day is one of the best, and yeah, bold decision statement I should say, sorry, best platformers on Mega Drive and best games on the Mega Drive. Right, number 5, this is actually a Genesis game. But I did have it back in the day, just not in Genesis form, because this was donated to me, and that would be Super Street Fighter 2. Or in the West it was, in the UK it was the new Challengers. Simply because, and this wasn't the first Street Fighter game on it, but we were all drooling and jealous of the, the SNES or the Super Famicom, with the fact that we were always told that your system doesn't have the power to pull off Street Fighter, because I've always loved Street Fighter, even then before I played it on, the Mega Drive, and I think my first experience of it was actually on the Super Famicom, because this is a reasonably late game, and how big is it? It's a pretty big game. Is it 32 megs? And yeah, I just remember, because the previous one proved that you could do it, but I always wanted this one because I love the extra characters, mainly so I could be Fei Long, Bruce Lee. This is the game that this is in here for good reason. I sank so much of my life into this. I think I've told this story before, but I had a flatmate years later where every decision, who should make the, tea, who should do the laundry and stuff like that, who should do chores around the apartment, was based on best 2 out of 3 of that game, and I never got tired, and yet you didn't even mind making chores or doing the chores because you felt that, well, you lost, he won fair and square. Again, I mean, that probably more than any other one, is, even though it's not that high up, is the most played game in this. Number 4 would be Golden Axe, simply because I loved it in the arcades, I loved it on the Sega Master System, but it was that thing that I've mentioned before that we always wanted, was the holy grail, and it's not, but it's pretty damn close, which is we always wanted the arcade experience at home, that phrase we used to chuck around left, right and centre as kids, which is, it's arcade perfect, it's arcade perfect, it's arcade perfect. I don't know why I'm doing it for effect. Another one of these in here kind of touches upon that, but yeah, Golden Axe, I just remember drooling over Mean Machines when me and my dad were driving to our old chalet then to clear it out before it was sold, and I just kept reading the review of this again and again and again, and I just wanted it to be the arcade experience, and when I got it, it was, at least to me then, it was just the arcade experience. That in itself, that impact it had upon me makes it, in this top 10, because it was magical, it was wonderful, it really felt like I had the cabinet at home. It was just like, I'm never going to the arcades again. Alright, it was 30 quid, but I can't quite put it, again it comes back to nostalgia, I can't quite put my finger on it, but that's why it's so high up, because literally Golden Axe was just that moment where you felt you finally got what you always wanted, or all the systems you had before were trying really hard and being honest, and you never quite got it, but this did it. Number 3, now this is a no-brainer, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now I hear you say, if you watched me for a while, which is, I thought Sonic CD was your favourite Sonic game. It is, but the thing is, Sonic CD, I fell in love with it on my brother's Mega CD a few years later. I never had it, so I can't put it in there. Plus also I played this far, far more. This was just, how do you top, I just remember the hype around this, and you just think, oh, they're hyping it, it's going to be shit, and you think, how do you top the majestic wonderfulness of Sonic? Not going to do it. And they did it. But I think the main reason I put so much of my life into this, and I played it and love it so much still these days, is excuse me, Tuaru, bad pause there, the 2-player mode was just absolutely superb. We played 2-player games before on the Mega Drive, but nothing like that, nothing that impressive, nothing that addictive and compelling to play. 2 left. One of them's not really a surprise. Excuse me, but my number 1 might be, even to me as well when I was drawing up this list, but then I thought about the sheer hours I put into it, that's why it's there, but we won't jump ahead of ourselves. Number 2 would be Strider. Look at that beautiful Japanese box art. How did they balls up the West so badly? Again, because it was one of those games in the arcade that I loved and I adored, and I thought, we'd never get this at home, And again, it makes me sound shallow, but when we got it at home, and it was such a good port that we all tooted that magical phrase, arcade perfect, I think literally just because I felt privileged and you know special to have a version of this game that all the other versions, you know, Amiga, Atari ST, sorry, those were the 16-bit versions, you know, the Master System, the NES, Spectrum, all those ones, and right, they couldn't, but could hold a fart to, and it was that kind of exclusive nature that just made me play it so much, and turned it into, you know, one of my favourite games of all time, and my second favourite Mega Drive game of all time. Sorry, gacky throat, Marmite. Oh, I can't stay mad at you, Marmite. Right, yeah, I was quite surprised at this, but then I thought, and I think about the, you know, how I feel when I play it now, and my favourite Mega Drive game of all time is Batman. Yes, it's not the biggest. I would argue that it's got so, well, easily the best music and some of the best graphics, but you know, it's not a huge game. It doesn't really do anything different than other games. It's a, you know, beat 'em up slash platformer, but all I know is just, and maybe because it's Batman and there hadn't really been any decent Batman games, at least on the systems I played up to this point, but all I know is when I first got this, as you know, supposed to get it with my Mega Drive when I ordered it, but they shafted me and gave me Wrestling Saga 2. It still hurts. All I know is when I got this, I played this and nothing else. The rest, right, albeit it was quite small, then Game Collection just sat on the shelves gathering dust for bloody weeks, because I just love this. I couldn't get enough of it. I can't put my finger on it again. It's just, to me, this is, and as I said, this list is constantly moving and evolving, but this is my favourite Mega Drive game of all time. Like I said, maybe it's because it's Batman, maybe because it's a solid fight, maybe because it's a solid platformer, you know, maybe because it's polished. I think it's a whole combination of all those things, but that's my favourite Mega Drive game of all time, and this was my top 10. I would love to know what yours are, but I warn you, if you try and do it, it's an absolute headbreaker to nail it down or chisel it down to just 10. But it'd be interesting to hear, because obviously all our tastes are subjective, so all of us will have different lists. Maybe some of them will cross over slightly, but you know, because of your gaming tastes, it could be quite interesting. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.